Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the walk. Today is Friday, December 20th, and we are still talking about Tyre, but we're continuing on with another lament over Tyre. We talked about another lament on yesterday, and if you haven't watched that video, I would recommend you go back and you watch that so you have some background as we go into this lament. The ESV Fire Study Bible had an interesting note over this lamentation, and this is for verses 1 through 36 of Ezekiel 27. Tyre had a great fleet of commercial trade ships. This chapter pictures her as a great and beautiful ship bringing merchandise and treasures to many nations. Yet God's judgment would bring the ship to pieces, and many would mourn its destruction. Compare this chapter with Revelation 18, where God destroys the world's center of commerce. So we've already talked about this earlier this week. Tyre was a center for trade because you not only had the coast of the Mediterranean, but they also had this island out in the middle of the Mediterranean. And they had a great deal of access to fresh water. So Tyre was a place where you went to trade goods. It was economically very abundant and very, very wealthy. So that brings us to this new lament. The word of the Lord came to me. Now you, son of man, raise a lamentation over Tyre. Now the Cultural Study Bible had an interesting note about what a lament is. It's a technical term for a dirge sung at the death of an individual or after the destruction of a city and its people. The Book of Lamentations represents such a lament over the fall of Jerusalem. Beginning with Old Babylonian times, the Mesopotamian literary tradition produced a specific genre of lengthy city laments. 5 major city laments over the destruction of the cities, such as Uruk, and Eridu, are extant. So basically, this is kind of a song of mourning because the city has been destroyed. Verse 3, and say to Tyre, who dwells at the entrances to the sea, merchant of the peoples to many coastlands, thus says the Lord God, O Tyre, you have said, I am perfect in beauty. Your borders are in the heart of the seas. Your builders made perfect your beauty. So basically what's going on here is they are saying, you had it all. You had it going on. You were very powerful. In the Cultural Study Bible, it said Tyre was a maritime power. An Assyrian relief dating from the time of Sennacherib depicts Phoenician ships in a city, probably Tyre. A parallel Akkadian phrase is similarly used for the location of Tyre. So they are considered the cusp of the culture of that area. Verse 5, they made all your planks of fir trees from Senir. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for you. That word Senir jumped out at me, and thankfully the Cultural Study Bible had the answer. It said, according to Deuteronomy 3:9, Mount Senir is the Amorite name for Mount Hermon, the southernmost spur of the anti-Lebanon range lying to the east of Bacal Valley. It is mentioned in Assyrian inscriptions as Seniru. Senir and Hermon are placed side by side in 1 Chronicles 5:23 and Song of Solomon 4:8. Then we get to verse 6. Of oaks of Bashan, they made your oars. They made your deck of pines from the coast of Cyprus, inlaid with ivory. So it's talking about how great Tyre was. This Cyprus, there was a note in the Cultural Study Bible. The Hebrew word is Kittim, which is equated with Kition, and an important Phoenician colony in southeast Cyprus. Cypress trees still abound in this forest of Cyprus. Verse 7, of fine embroidered linen from Egypt was your sail, serving as your banner. Blue and purple from the coasts of Elisha was your awning. The inhabitants of Sidon and Arvad were your rowers. Your skilled men, O Tyre, were in you. They were your pilots. So it's talking about how incredible Tyre was. The elders of Jabal and her skilled men were in you, caulking your seams. All the ships of the sea were with their mariners were in you to barter for your wares. Persia and Lud were in your army as your men of war. They hung the shield and helmet in you. They gave you splendor. Men of Arvad and Halash were on your walls all around, and men of Gamad were in your towers. They hung their shields on your walls all around. They made perfect your beauty. Tyre was the cream of the crop of that area. It was extremely powerful. And to receive a prophecy that Tyre would be destroyed would have been completely foreign to those people. They would have said, no way, it's not going to happen. Tyre is way too powerful. But then God moved. And when God moves, the impossible becomes possible. God moved these other nations to come against Tyre, and it was destroyed, as we've seen earlier this week. Today is Friday, so I'm going to remind you there's no videos Saturday and Sunday. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.